And we're back. I'm so glad it didn't take me 6 months this time to get back to you guys. And I've got some good news. I got some BC coilovers. These, if you'll notice though, are for an 05 Scion TC. I'll get to that in a second. But if you were just joining me, this is my 1977 Honda Civic CVCC. I'm doing a full Restomod. I'm doing a K20, probably turbocharged maybe down the road, full tube frame chassis to support the engine and reinforce the rest of the chassis. It's going to be super fun, and I'm glad that you're here to join me. Like I said, I've got some BC coilovers. I just picked these up. They are for a 2005 Scion TC. Here's the thing though, when you see BC coilovers on Facebook Marketplace and it's only 150 bucks, yeah, it's hard to turn away from them, especially where I am going 100% custom on the entire front end. I mean, the entire thing, but especially the front end and the suspension. It's going to be very one-off Frankenstein bits and pieces mixed together. I did not shy away from this. Now, I want to dive into a little bit more detail of why I chose these and why I think they're going to work for what I want. So I am not the first person to do a K20 in a first gen. There have been a handful of people, and a few of them, one or two off the top of my head, have chosen to do an RSX front end or an EP3 front end. It's the same car. With that, they've done the full suspension, knuckles, steering, like everything from the RSX. And it seems to package the best and work out in the long run. So my idea is to not reinvent the wheel and just follow in other people's paths that have already done this and already been successful with it. So I am going to be aiming for an RSX front end. Now, with that being said, why do I have 2005 Scion TC coilovers? With BC, if you've noticed, this whole section is typically the same, regardless of what coilover you're actually buying. And now, obviously, there is some variance in there. Like, I'm not going to deny that. It's very clear that there is some variance. But this is what I'm going for. Where this is going to be custom up here, this is the main thing that I needed. Now, I did have the guy measure the top to the bottom of this, and it does line up almost exactly with what the RSX is. So I know that I'm roughly starting with the correct idea. The other thing that I noticed, and this is just a hunch, and I'm crossing my fingers here, I don't have the steering knuckle for the RSX yet. But where it mounts looks very, very similar to this. Now, I'm not saying it is exactly the same. I'm almost guaranteeing it's not, but I think it's going to be close enough that I can make it work. If not, I could also just cut these off and fabricate my own tabs to hold onto the front knuckle. Now, when it comes to the bolts on the top and the bolt pattern, you could almost call it, I did get extremely lucky with this. When I came to drop these off after I picked them up, I was like, you know what? Just for kicks and giggles, I want to see how these fit in here. And so pop them up underneath. Look at that. I don't know if you can see that all that well, but these line up perfectly with how the first gen is. The only difference being how big the bolts are. These are a little bit smaller holes than what these are. So I drilled them out, made bigger holes, and now, whoop, those fit perfectly in there. Now, here's the thing. That's great and all that they fit, but I'm not really using this. So why does it matter that they fit? The reason why that's helpful is because these are 1970s technology squared off of the rest of the body. I didn't have to put these in place and try and make sure that they line up with the whole body line and that they're going to match the frame rails. These more or less trusting, 1970s technology back in Japan, that they got these in the right place. These give me points to go off of. And I'm probably going to end up using that space anyways. Now, where I am going to be putting more power in here, more weight, I do want to reinforce these. The intention is to take a tube and bend it around here and try and create a skeleton here to reinforce that front suspension. Once we have one point of the suspension figured out, the top hat, then that does give us some benefits because we know it's going to be squared to the other side. And with that, then we can start to position where the rest of this should land. And I'm gonna still, you know, the RSX front end, and I should be able to just measure the suspension on one of those and figure out exactly if this is supposed to be there, if it's supposed to be here, if it's supposed to be clear out here. In my mind, it's gonna be the easiest way to do it. The other thing to point out on here is on the BC coilovers for the Scion TC, up here, I believe this is where the Scion steering linkage attached. So you would have the steering rack actually attached to that. And if you know anything about the RSX, it's actually very similar, except for it kind of has more of a bar that sticks out. But that's great because that means that the steering linkage is not on the knuckle down here. So basically what I'm getting at here is, once upon a time, Toyota was trying to make an RSX, and I'm just gonna place all of my bets on this working out. Now, what happens if the RSX suspension does not work? Well, I cry a little bit and I move on. I know that the odds are against me on this, and I'm not worried about that. The coilovers were only $150 and brand new. Granted, it's a set of 4, I only got 2. You know, they're anywhere from like $1,200, $1,500 for the ones that I got. And so I felt that it was worth the risk to at least try it out. It doesn't damage them. I could probably still sell them. And honestly, if I just go 100% custom and fully create lower control arms, you know, using like Sencut Sen, welding something together, I could still use them. So I am not worried about it. It is going to be a big challenge, but I'm super excited for it. And with that being said, I am in the market for some front spindles or front knuckles, whatever you want to call them, for an RSX. I'm looking for that. Looking for the whole assembly. You know, the brakes I'm probably going to end up using as well as the bushings, lower control arms, everything on the front end. If you know someone that's parting out an RSX, let me know. Or a EP3, again, same thing. Let me know. I would love to see what I can figure out and see if I can get these parts for it. So after I do get the rest of the steering components, you're probably wondering, all right, what's next? And that is where the true fabrication comes in. I got to get a tube bender. I got to get a welder. I need to learn how to do all of that. That's going to be super exciting. But I can't think of anything else that I would need. After this, I mean, it really is, I just need to get the motor mounts for the K20. I need to get it positioned in here. Now, if you saw my last video, I have that engine cradle, so I can get it positioned in here pretty well. And then I just need to start squaring everything off of each other. I gotta be honest, it's gonna take me some time. I don't know how to weld. I have to pay for all of this out of my own pocket. If you look down below, you'll probably see about 45 views. YouTube doesn't pay me with 45 views. So I've got to pay for this out of my own pocket, and it does take me a while to buy these things. You know, I don't have just $500 a week to be spending on a tube bender and on miscellaneous parts that I need. So it does take me a while. I appreciate your patience. I do apologize again for disappearing for the last 6 months, but I intend to put out at least some updates. With that being said, I will try to keep you guys updated as often as I can, even if it's just little things, because I know you guys want to know what's going on. And don't hesitate to reach out to me. I know a lot of you have. I'm happy to always talk about it and talk about my plans, my ideas, you know, just talk about cars. I'm always down for that. Please do not forget to like, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, leave a comment. It helps me out a ton, and more importantly than that, it means a lot to me. It means a lot that you guys are enjoying this as much as I'm enjoying doing it. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one.